Green Lantern Corps number 2 is written by Morgan Hampton and Jeremy Adams, with pencils by Fernando Pesarin, inks by Eau Claire Albert, colors by R.F. Prianto, and letters by Dave Sharp. The title of this issue is Broken Wings. John, Kilowog, and Razer are heading back to the remains of the planet Thanagar with Hawkwoman to see what can be salvaged. The Thanagarian survivors are currently living on the planet Ran, a world they've been at war with for what feels like forever, and it's really adding insult to injury. But even those hard feelings seem small compared to the pile of rubble that used to be a thriving, powerful world. As the group inspects the ruins of Thanagar, Kilowog asks Razer how he's adjusting to being a Green Lantern, and I'm so happy that we got this brief conversation. Razer was introduced into the mainline continuity about a year and a half ago, back in Green Lantern number 6, and they still haven't explored anything about his history or relationships, or really given him anything to do. So I'm happy that this issue seems to at least be moving in the right direction. All that to say, Razer is having a hard time getting the hang of using a Green Lantern ring. As a Red Lantern, all he had to do was let go and allow the rage to overflow out of him. And as a Blue Lantern, he became powerful by believing in other people. But a Green Lantern ring relies on the willpower of the user. It requires him to generate his own strength through constant effort, and it's kind of exhausting compared to everything else Razer is used to. I like that perspective. Since willpower is the neutral center of the emotional spectrum, I think we got used to thinking of it as the easiest power to use. But most Green Lanterns don't have any experience wielding other kinds of lantern rings, so they wouldn't realize how comparatively taxing it can be to constantly exert high levels of willpower. This very interesting conversation is cut short when they find a big scary spaceship drilling into Thanagar with a huge energy beam. Razer immediately recognizes the crew as former Red Lanterns. John and Shaera infiltrate the ship and are being very careful not to be noticed, since there's no telling how many Red Lanterns survived the destruction of the Red Central Battery. It leads to a scene of them hiding in a coat closet from Dex-star, who doesn't seem to have his powers and is basically just a regular cat. It's very funny, and it allows for a moment where John feels incredibly awkward, while Shaera seems like she's waiting for him to just man up and say what's on his mind. I can't wait for them to finally talk about whatever happened in their past. Also, I guess John has a type now? Badass warrior women whose homeworld exploded. Anyway, they get noticed, and the instant the alarm starts to sound, Shaera takes out her mace and annihilates the door that John was about to hack into. Subtlety had its turn. Now it's time for Hawkwoman to take out her anger on everything and everyone on board this ship. But neither of them was expecting to find the Red Lantern named Xylus Zox plugged into the ship's engine, supplying it with energy. They figured that Zox must have manifested emotional spectrum powers just like so many other random people throughout the universe, and the Red Lanterns hooked him up to the ship so they can collect that raw rage energy. We saw in Green Lantern number 20 that spontaneously developing a connection to the rage portion of the emotional spectrum can lead to a lethal amount of power building up. But Zox manages to avoid that fate since the power is being siphoned out of him as quickly as it comes. Shaera thinks the energy can be safely transferred to the ship because they're using conduits made of nth metal, which is found primarily on Thanagar. Which means that the Red Lanterns have probably come to the ruins of Thanagar to scavenge for whatever nth metal may be left. They get attacked by Atrocitus, who's wearing some kind of technology on his chest that appears to contain some sort of rock or something that's glowing red. The light wafting out of his chest is forming into constructs, so maybe that thing he's wearing contains a chunk of nth metal. Atrocitus stresses the importance of the ship, and wanting to make sure nobody takes the ship away from them, which I'm pretty sure confirms that the ship is acting like their new central battery, and whatever technology Atrocitus is wearing lets him access the power stored in the ship. It's a really clever way to try and rebuild the Red Lantern Corps without any of the usual resources, and putting Atrocitus in this position makes him feel dangerous because he's so desperate. Though I do wonder how much rage power they can actually store, and how reliant they are on Zox giving them a constant flow of spectrum energy. There's this great exchange where Atrocitus and Hawkwoman are just swearing at each other, and she does it way more than he does, and John just looks uncomfortable. While all that is happening, Kilowog and Razer went down to the remains of the planet to see what the Red Lanterns have found. It seems to be a massive piece of nth metal, so big that they may not even be able to dig it out. But before they can even really try, this sense of despair washes over everyone. They start feeling hopeless, and their speech bubbles turn gray. Even Razer succumbs to this feeling, and fully gives in to how insecure he feels without the ability to rely on rage, hope, or Aya. This is the work of Nathan Broom and the power of sorrow. He's also here to retrieve the nth metal, and his power leaks out of him like a mist that smothers everything it touches, inflicting sorrow onto everyone in the area. Everyone except for Kilowog. After everything he's lost, Kilowog has long since accepted sorrow as a fact of life, and learned to keep moving forward in spite of it. It's possible that Nathan's power would overtake Kilowog eventually, but he's not about to give it the chance. Kilowog blows away Nathan's fog with enough force that the cavern begins to shake. What's left of Thanagar was already falling apart, and this was the final push it needed. Everyone clears out just in time as the final remains of the planet crumble to dust, leaving behind the nth metal, which is apparently a humongous egg. What the hell? I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that the Hawk world had a big egg. This is so goofy, I love it. So that's Green Lantern Corps number 2. Now I want to hear your opinions. Do you like the interactions between Razer and Kilowog? Does it make sense that Kilowog seems immune to the power of sorrow? What do you think is in the big egg? Let me know in the comment section down below, and subscribe if you haven't already so that we can get to the bottom of this weird story together. Until next time, thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan, we'll talk again soon.